In a remote village there was a river in which many people drowned. Locals said that the river was cursed, and those who risked going into it were doomed to death. But one guy decided to check how true it was. He went to the banks of the river, despite the warnings of the locals. When the guy entered the water, he felt the current get stronger. He started swimming, but the current was so strong he couldn't get out of the water. He was panicking, trying to get ashore, but he didn't have enough power. Eventually, the current dragged him under the water, and he drowned. When locals learned of his death, they said it was because he ignored warnings and decided to check on the legend. Now no one went to this river, and they began to call it the River of Death. Despite the fact that locals stopped going to this river, some people from neighboring villages continued to ignore the warnings. One day, a group of young men went to the riverbank to swim and have fun. They didn't expect the current to be that strong. When they entered the water, they immediately felt that the current was carrying them downstream. They panicked, tried to get ashore, but it was too late. The current dragged them under the water and they drowned. Now the locals believed the river was really cursed, and they started guarding it, so no one was trapped. They put warning signs on the banks to remind everyone that this river is dangerous. And although many years have passed, locals still remember the story of the River of Death and are cautious about the water. A few years after the tragedy with a group of young people, a group of researchers known for their experiments on nature came to the city. They heard about the dammed river and became interested in this phenomenon. They spent a long time on the shore, studying water, underwater relief and current. Their research showed that the curse of the river was just a myth created by the locals. The course of the river was strong due to the features of the relief of the bottom, and not because of some mystical power. Researchers told locals about their discoveries, and tried to convince them that the river was not dammed. But many locals did not believe them and continued to consider the river dangerous. However, since researchers visited the city, new warning signs have appeared on the banks of the river, which have been installed by local authorities. Now the signs had information not only that the river was dangerous, but that it was not cursed, and that people should be careful when they get into the water. No one has died on the river since, and it has become a popular recreational and swimming destination. Thus, the myth of the River of Death became history, and the river became simply a beautiful natural object that cannot be ignored.